Hello, I'm Ellen Gormley and welcome back to my channel. So Theo has been patiently waiting for me to make a video, and I know you have too. So here we go. I am going to work on this Bjorn the Narwhal Woobles kit for people who have zero experience with crochet. Okay, so for example, say you got this gift or any one of the Woobles as a gift. I am going to attempt to go as extremely slow as possible to help those of you who've never picked up a hook before. Okay, so I am not endorsed by Woobles. I'm not sponsored by Woobles. I purchased this Wooble. I don't get a kickback if you buy Woobles. So I am in no way affiliated with them. I just like the product, and I know a lot of people still need help even though they provide videos. Okay, here we go. So you get your Wooble and you get your little kit and you're like, yay, thank you for this really nice gift. And so you open your kit and hopefully all of your stuff is in there. It should be. I've never had any experience where it was not in there. So as I'm opening the Bjorn the Narwhal package, this is what I have. Is there anything else? No. Okay, that's all there is in this package. So there's a hook, which I am right-handed, so I will hold it like this, like a knife. So put your hand on top of it and you can put your thumb on the flat part. That's in general how you're going to hold the hook most of the time, but it doesn't really matter how you hold the hook. Some people hold it like this. It doesn't really matter as long as you have control. If you're lefty, you'll hold it like this when the time comes, or you can hold it like a pencil. Okay, doesn't matter. However you have the most control. Okay, so you get a hook. It is a 4.0 millimeter hook, and we'll put that aside. You'll get your main color of yarn. You'll get your stuffing, which we will use later. And then you get little bits of white and yellow for later also. So we're going to start with the blue. Now also you get this little packet, and I'm going to be careful when I open this. You get your little instructions inside, so you get your little packet, and I'm going to pull this off camera. Okay, so in this little packet you'll get safety eyes for your little narwhal. You'll get 2 black ones and 2 white ones, and that's going to be your safety eyes if it's just for you. If it's going to be for a child or a pet, then instead of using these safety eyes, which can pull off with some effort, you'll sew eyes on instead, because this is safer for a pet or for a child. Okay, so otherwise these are a choking hazard. So if it's just going to be for you or a decoration, then you'll use the safety eyes. But we're going to save all this in the little envelope for later. Okay, so that goes in there where we won't lose it. Also, what came out of that envelope was this yarn needle, which we will use later when we go to sew the little unicorn horn onto the narwhal, and we'll use it if we are sewing eyes on, and we'll use it to close up after we have put the stuffing in. Okay, so setting this aside for now. Now on this, on your card inside your instructions, when you flip it over, you'll get the QR code for you to download your instructions, and under my hand is the password that you need. So you'll go to thewoobles.com/start, or you'll follow the QR code and it'll ask you like what critter is it, and you'll put in Bjorn, BJORN, or you can put in whale, or you can put in, you might even be able to put in blue fish and it might come up. So just, you can put in any one of these things, and then under my hand is the password, and you'll type in the password and you'll get to that. So I'm going to maybe do that with you now, and then I'm going to download the instructions and print them out because I like to see them on print. Okay, I'm back. I'm back and I have my printed instructions here. So on your instructions, you're gonna get your front sheet, which yours is gonna probably be printed all the way through, but I'm saving ink. You'll have your setup instructions, and where we found where it said download the pattern was in the upper right hand corner of the app, and we clicked that, and that's where I got my instructions. Also on that page is a lot of different video clips on how to do each step. So how to hold the hook, how to make a single crochet, how to increase the single crochet, and all of that. And then there'll be detailed instructions, detailed little arrows to download, not download, but watch little videos on how to make every step of this. But I think a lot of people still have trouble, so that's why I'm making this video here. Here's some instructions on how to read a Woobles pattern. So SC means single crochet. Increase, INC, means increase, which means 2 stitches, 2 single crochets in the same hole. DEC means decrease, and they use the invisible decrease. It's a specific type of decrease, and there is a video for that on their website. And RND is the abbreviation for the word round, meaning you're working in rounds and not back and forth, okay? And so here's all the things that should have come in your packet, which they all did. It said, but scissors are not included. So I have a pair of scissors here from my usual kit that I can use. Okay. Now on the instructions here, and I don't want to like give you their pattern because you have to buy it. And I don't own it. It's not mine to give. But you'll take your blue Woobles yarn. You can either, I think you have to take the label off because they wind their yarn around the outside of the skein. So I'm going to take the little yarn band off and set it aside. I don't need it. That's just discard. And gently pull out of the middle this pre-made little doodad here. Now this is round 1 already made for you. So keep track of where you are. So we're starting with the head and body first with blue and white yarn, but we're going to keep track of where we are by placing the stitch marker in the first stitch of the current round. So I'm going to grab this carefully. I'm pinching it with my thumb so it doesn't fall apart. And it's actually, now there's 2 different theories about how this goes. So some people say that you're supposed to leave this little knot here in. That way, if you have to pull back and rip back because you've made a mistake, it's going to stop there. And so you're supposed to, some people believe that you're supposed to go ahead and put your hook in that loop and then begin working from there. Okay, so that is an option, but that knot there will then be stuck in there forever, which is fine. It's going to be the top of his head, and so you may or may not see it up there, but that's where we're at. If you look at this piece, Theo's playing with the ball of yarn here. If you look at this piece, this one is made with the right side. So the right side, Theo, honey, the right side is this side. So the right side, where I'm going to work from, the tail is over here that's connected to the ball, and the cut tail from the beginning is over here. And you'll have orange marking the very first stitch of the round, and then a green one marking the next stitch, a green one marking the subsequent stitch, because that is where we will put our stitches to give us some practice before we go on our own. If we look at this little anatomy in the orange, where the orange stitch marker is, that's stitch number 1 of round 1. The 2 little lines here indicating like a V, that is stitch number 2 Here is stitch number 3 with the second green marker. This right here is stitch number 4. This right here is stitch number 5. This right here is stitch number 6. And then here's the knot that I was talking about. So some people believe that, and I'm not sure what Woobles endorses, some people believe you're supposed to leave this knot in and just place your hook right here. Now, if it looks like this and the green markers are on the left, to the left of the orange, that's the wrong side. So if you are a right-handed person, flip it over and your green markers should be to the right of the orange, and you'll put your hook in this little loop right there. Now, if you are a lefty, you can also still work, but it's going to be this direction, and you'll go around that way. So I have my left hand on the hook right now, and you're going to work clockwise if you're lefty. So you're going to start here if you're lefty. Your next stitch is going to go where the orange is, and then you'll go around the clock, okay? But righties, it's going to be like this. Your orange is going to be on the left. You're going to hold the yarn with your left hand. I hold it like this. So I put it over my fingers. I curl in my fingers. I pull the work down behind my index finger. I grab with my middle finger and my thumb on the work, and I hold the hook with my right hand as if I am going to cut a piece of bread with a knife. This is how I hold my yarn. Now you can do it any way you want, but it's important that we tension or hold the right amount of tautness with our non-working hand. And I keep the tension with my little finger and ring finger like this. So let me just show you different angles so you can see what that looks like. Okay. Okay. Now for lefties, it's going to be the opposite. I'm going to hold the hook as if I'm going to cut a piece of bread. I'm going to hold on to the work here. I'm going to tension my yarn the same way. So I'm putting it in front of my fingers. I'm going to curl in my hand. I'm going to gently hold the yarn with my little finger and ring finger. I'm going to scoop up with my, I'm sorry, I'm not left-handed, so this is hard for me. I'm going to, yeah, that'll work. So I'm going to hold up my index finger. I'm going to pinch with my middle finger and thumb, and I'll work this way. Okay, so I'll work this way around the circle. Okay, I hope that's slow enough that you're following. Okay, now let me go back to the right-handed. I'm going to do most of the rest of this right-handed just because it's so much easier for me. So on your little instructions, it says start here if you're using the pre-made piece. So if you're using this pre-made piece, round 1 is already complete. So you're going to start with round 2. If you have made a mistake and pulled all of this out and have to start with just yarn with no pre-made piece and no markers, I do have videos for that I'll try to put in here for you if you have to like undo and start over. Okay, so that's a thing. So for right now, our round 1 is already done. It's already completed for us. I'm going to put my hook in that little loop, and I'm going to increase. I'm going to start on round 2, and I'm going to increase 6 times for a total of 12 stitches. So to increase, we're going to do 2 single crochets in each of the next 6 stitches. And the first stitch is the orange. And when we make our first stitch of round 2, I'm going to move this marker. So to single crochet, now pay attention to this stitch because we're going to do it over and over again. So a single crochet is to insert the hook under those 2 loops where this orange stitch marker is, okay? So I've got my tension here, I'm holding my little loop. I'm gonna grab the yarn with my hook and pull it through underneath those 2 loops. It's kind of hard to do with the stitch marker in, but I'm bringing up that yarn. And then I'm gonna yarn over, which means pull it over the hook, and pull that piece through the 2 loops that are on the hook. So one crochet, single crochet has just been made. So this loop where my hook is like that very first loop we started with. So I'm going to pull this out for just a moment. I want to move my number 1 stitch marker from that spot to this new spot right here. So not in the loop, but in these little top 2 strands of the new stitch I just made. So this is what it looks like now with 1 stitch made. I'm going to put my hook back in this little loop, pull it taut a little bit so that it looks just like it did at the very beginning, and I'm going to place another stitch right in there, right between my thumbs, where the legs right here of the previous stitch are. So I'm going to do that same thing again in that same spot. Insert under the 2 loops of the same stitch where the orange marker had been. Yarn over, which means I'm grabbing that yarn with my hook. I'm pulling the yarn through that spot where my hook had been. I have now 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to complete the stitch by yarning over, which means grabbing the yarn with the hook and pulling it through both loops on the hook to complete the stitch. There's now 2 stitches made, one with the orange in it, number 1 of round 2, and a next stitch right here. Okay, so we have 2 stitches made of round 2. Okay, so we're still continuing on round 2. So we have 2 stitches, one here that has the orange marker in it. That's the first stitch of the second round, and this one here that still has the hook in it. So we have 1, 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the stitch marker for the next stitch. So this is the second stitch of the first round, and I'm going to remove that marker because I see where my stitches are going to go. They're going to go right there in that little hole under those top 2 strands. These strands right here, 1, 2. Okay, so we're going to place 2 single crochets in that same little hole. So I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to yarn over, which means to grab the yarn with the hook, pull it through, meaning underneath those 2 strands. Then the second step of the single crochet is to grab the yarn again and pull it through both loops on the hook. Okay, so that is another single crochet made. It's the first one where that green marker had been, and by increasing, we are needing to place 2 of them in that same hole. So I'm going to place another one exactly the same in that same hole. So with my hook, I'm going to insert into that hole, yarn over, which means grab the yarn, pull it through the same hole, yarn over, grabbing the yarn and pulling it through the 2 loops on the hook to complete the single crochet. So now I have 2 stitches made in that same spot. You can tell because there's, let's see if I can focus it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 little feet, 4 little legs in that little hole. So we have 1 stitch, which is the V, the 2 legs of the V up here, and here's another one. So if you need to count this way, if you turn it kind of vertically, so the orange marker is in the first V, which is the first stitch, then here's another stitch, number 2, here's number 3 stitch, here's number 4 stitch, and the loop on the hook will become number 5 when we make it. So we are, again, we're increasing 6 times around, and there were only 6 stitches. So that means 2 single crochet in each stitch around, and at the end of this round we will have 12. So I'm going to take out the green marker again. We don't need these markers anymore. Those were just marking stitches number 2 and 3 so that we could learn where to put our hook when we make stitches. So if you kind of push it away from you, you can see where that hole, you can kind of see through where that hole is. That's where the hook is going to go. And we're placing 2 single crochets in that spot. So insert your hook, grab the yarn, pull the yarn through that same hole, grab the yarn again, pull it through the 2 loops on the hook. That is 1 stitch in that hole, and now we're going to make another one. Insert your hook in that same hole. See if I make sure I can get it focused there. Pull up a loop, grab the yarn, pull it through 2 loops on the hook. When you're done with the stitch, you will have just 1 loop on the hook like this, okay? So if you need to count them, again, you can kind of turn it a little bit towards you and count the V's starting where the orange marker is. That's number 1, because we're going to mark the first stitch of every round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we still have these 3 stitches left of round 1, and we have to put 2 single crochets in this one, and this one, so that we end up with 12 on this second row or second round. Okay, so now there was no marker in this one, but we can kind of see where there's a hole there. That's where the hook is going to go, right in there. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in that same spot, just like we did before. So here's 1. Do I need to go slow again? Okay, when you're making your second one in the same spot, the hole even opens up a little bit easier for you. So insert your hook in there, push it through enough to grab the yarn, pulling the yarn through that same hole. Kind of pull it up just a little bit so that you have room to yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Okay, so you can see in that hole is a whole bunch of little strands because we have 2 stitches in that same hole. Now we're going to go to the next stitch, and the hole is a little bit hard to find, but it's under those 2 strands. You can kind of see it there if you wiggle your fingers. So the key is to put the hook underneath the 2 strands of the V, just like that, okay? Pull up the loop through that hole, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on the hook. There's a stitch made, and now the hole is easier to see. We're going to put another one in that same spot. Okay, we have 1 more stitch to go by placing 2 single crochets in it. So we'll kind of lift up those 2 strands and we can see the hole there. That's where the hook is going to go, underneath those 2 strands. Pull yarn over by grabbing the yarn, pulling it through that hole. Yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook, and that's 1 stitch in that spot, and we need 2. So insert the hook in that same hole, grab the yarn, pull it through the fabric, grab the yarn again, and pull through 2 loops on the hook. And that is 2 rounds. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a big loop there and take my hook out for just a moment so I can show you. You can very clearly see that this is kind of like a bagel, where there's like an inner ring here, and I guess like a wagon wheel. An inner hub there, that's round 1, and an outer ring here, that's round 2. Remember that we're going to mark the first stitch of every round every time we get to it. So we now have 2 rounds completed. Now if we look at our instructions for round 3, it says single crochet, increase, and that is in brackets. So that complete item, single crochet and then an increase, times 6. We're going to do that 6 times, and we'll end up with 18 stitches at the end. So single crochet in one stitch, then place an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same spot in the next stitch. And we'll do this complete item 6 times so that there's 18 around, okay, at the end. So the parentheses are what our final number should be at the end of the round, and the bracket is the item that is repeated. So single crochet, and then an increase is 2 single crochets in the same spot. So at the end of round 2, we had 12 stitches, and we can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And remember, the marker is in the first stitch, so that was the 12th one. So we have 12 at the end of round 2. So we're right on target. So with round 3, we're going to go single crochet in the first stitch, which is the orange one that's marked. Then in the next one, we're going to place 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet in the next one, and then 2 in the next one, 1 in the next one, 2 in the next one, for a total of 6 times until we're done. And there will be 18 at the end. Okay, so let's do that together. Let's do that together. And then the tip says it might start curling, which is normal because we want it to be like a dome, to make it like it shouldn't be a flat circle, but it's going to start cupping at some point to become the dome of the little narwhal's head. Okay. And if you like this video, I actually design a bunch of my stuff, and I write books and stuff, and I have a 5-minute crochet podcast if you're interested. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen my marker here, and I see where that first stitch is going to go, and I'm going to pay attention, and if I need to, I'll leave the stitch marker in that spot, but it's kind of hard to fit the hook in there, so I'm going to just make sure I understand where it goes. I'm going to place 1 single crochet, just like we did before, with inserting the hook into the hole, grabbing the yarn, pulling it through the hole, then yarning over, grabbing the yarn, and pulling it through 2 loops on the hook. Now that was the first one, so I need to put my stitch marker back in that one I just made under those 2 loops, because this is the first one of round 3. So when we go all the way around, we should stop here because this is the first one. So that way we know when we're done with the round, okay? So our instruction said single crochet and then increase. So on the next stitch, which is these 2 top loops here, that's where we're going to place 2 single crochets like we did on the previous row. So I'm going to find the little hole underneath those top 2 strands, grab the yarn, pull it through the fabric, yarn over, grabbing the yarn and pulling it through 2 loops on the hook. That's the first one of the increase. But remember, the increase means to do 2 in the same spot. So I'll find that hole where I had originally put my hook and put it in there again to place another same single crochet in that same spot so that there is 2 stitches in the same spot. Now we have done that repeat, that instruction, single crochet increase, 1 time. We single crocheted here, we increased here. So we did that 1 time. Now we're going to do it 5 more times, here, 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 all the way around, so that there is 6, okay? So back to just 1. Insert, pull up the loop, grab the yarn and pull it through 2 loops on the hook. That's the first one of the bracketed instruction. And then we will place 2 in the next one. These are all the same stitches. Insert into that spot, grab the yarn, pull up the yarn, grab the yarn, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Okay, so we did 1 and then 2. 1 and then 2. And this is a very similar way to how most of the woobles begin. Okay, so this is this method of doing 1 in the first stitch and then 2 in the next stitch is a classic how to start a circle in crochet, and they'll use it over and over again for all the different critters. 1, and then in the next one, 1, 2. Okay, and I'll do the last one really slow. Okay, so you can see we're on round 3. You can see the wagon wheel now has another layer. We've got the middle of the wagon wheel here under my thumb, and then the second row round goes around it, and then it's almost like stripes, and then the third round we're almost to the beginning here, but we have 2 stitches left. So with the last repeat, we're going to place our hook in the hole underneath those top 2 strands, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and then we're going to place 2 in this one because that completes the repeat. So insert under those top 2 loops in the hole there, grab the yarn, pull it through the fabric, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. That's 1, but we're placing 2 in that same spot. Okay, and I'm going to make this loop a little bit bigger so that I can take my hook out and we can count. So we now have 3 consecutive rings. Is that the right word? When you drop a pebble in a still pond and you get those rings out from the middle, we've got 3. We've got our middle of the wagon wheel and then another round and then another round. So we're done with round 3. So if we want to count to make sure we're good, we need 18 stitches to make sure that we are on track. So we can either start with number 1 of the round, which was the orange. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Or we can go backward where I took the hook out from and say, okay, that was the last one I made. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then the 18th one is the one with the marker. So you now have 3 rounds completed of the narwhal. 4 rounds, if we follow the instructions, this is a little bit different. So because there's a space between the 2 and the letters SC for single crochet, that means we're going to place a single crochet, and then in the next stitch a single crochet, and then an increase means both of them in the same spot. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, and we'll do that 6 times. And so because we're doing that 6 times, you take the 18 stitches from the previous round, you add 6 because you're increasing 6 times, and you get 24. So we'll have 24 at the end of this next round 4. You can also take a pencil and like check off the rounds you've done in case you need to keep track of where you are. Okay, so and then like round 5, it'll say 5 single crochets. So you'll single crochet 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then increase, putting 2 in the same spot, and you'll do that 4 times. So we're increasing 4 times. So if you had 24 and you add 4 more, you'll have 28. Okay, let's just do round 4 together, and then we will call it on your own and see if that gives you enough of a head start. So single crochet, and then an increase. So I'm gonna find out where my hook is gonna go in that loop, in that first stitch where the orange is. I'm gonna take it out because it's just easier for me to put the hook in there if it's not in there. So insert my hook under the top 2 loops, grab the yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is my first stitch. So I'm going to put my orange first stitch of the round marker under those top 2 loops of that first stitch. If I can get it in there, there we go. Put my hook back in the loop. 1 stitch is done. We're going to single crochet in the next stitch. and then we're going to increase. So the increase is going to go 2 stitches in that next stitch. So the hole here underneath the top 2 loops of the next stitch, 1, and do it again in the same to increase by 1. So that is 1 repeat. That is 1 occurrence of what's in the brackets. And we'll do that all the way around. So 1 in the next one, 1 in the next one, 2 in the next one, 1 and 2. It's getting a little tight. My tension is getting a little tight, but it is going to help it curve. 1 in the next one, 1 in the next one, 2 in the next one. Okay, so it's the same thing all the way around. Let me go super slow for you. Okay, so we get to the next occurrence. We'll do 1 here under the top 2 loops in that hole, 1, 1 in the next one, and then 2 in the next one. So in case you need a reminder of what the single crochet is, insert the hook, grab the yarn, pull it through the fabric where the hook went in, yarn over and go, pull through 2, 1 stitch done, and then do the second stitch in the exact same spot. Insert the hook, grab the yarn and pull it through the fabric to the front and through that same hole, yarn over and pull through both loops there on the hook. Okay, so 1, 1, 2, and we should have 3 left over. So there'll be 1 stitch here, 1 stitch here, 2 stitches there, and that will finish this round 4. 1, 1, and 2 in this spot. So there's 1, and I need to remember to put in the second one in that same spot. Okay, also, the thing at the end of the brackets, it says 2 single crochet and then increase. So the last repeat, if we think of them in units, will be an increase. That's the last thing we do. If we are to the point where we've increased and there's still 1 more stitch left, then we've made a mistake somewhere. So it should be exactly, it should finish up like that. So 1 whole repeat, 1 whole repeat, 1 whole repeat, 1 whole repeat 6 times. And so you should be finishing that set of 6 with an increase. And then at the end, we should have 24. So I'm going to remove my hook so that I can count, and we'll count the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. The marker is the first stitch of round 4. We've got our wagon wheel and then 3 rounds around it. Wagon wheel the center, and then so 1, 2, 3, 4. We've completed 4 rounds. Okay, I hope that gets you off to a good start, and I'll have those other videos here and playlists for woobles. And I hope you find that crochet is a relaxing and valuable use of your time, and I hope to see you maybe on the 5-Minute Morning Crochet Podcast or on any of the other videos. Take care. Thanks. Bye. Hi, I'm Ellen Gormley, and thank you so much for spending time with me on my channel. I hope you've had a relaxing and valuable use of your time. So if you liked this video, here's another one that's similar that you might also enjoy. And here is the video, the last video that was uploaded in case you missed it. Everyone, please like and subscribe.